Hey everyone, our 10th image analysis focuses on the second part of our health, food, and environment section, where we're looking at different social problems. And for this module, we're going to be examining social problems related specifically to food and the environment. Since we've been focusing a lot on the clothing industry and fast fashion in our course, given our Snyder and Moore textbooks and your zine project, I wanted to do some follow-up on the environmental impact on fast fashion. So we're going to be watching a documentary that's called The True Cost, which is a really insightful look into how the clothing industry impacts people around the globe in very different ways. And I think this is really important for us to keep in mind. We've been looking at this throughout our course at how perhaps in one part of the world people will benefit because of globalization, and in another part of the world they won't. And so the clothing industry is a very interesting one where sometimes people who run clothing companies, they'll make the argument that fast fashion is great for people who are in poorer countries around the world because it brings them jobs. But of course, we have to ask the question, what kind of jobs? Not all jobs are equivalent, nor lead to similar life experiences. And so this is, one of the very, very significant issues of fast fashion is that it tends to create a really significant environmental impact. And a lot of this has to do with really hugely increased consumption levels in the West. So I do want to bring up, though, a very interesting potential paradox. And we're looking at a couple of these paradoxes in our course material for this module. Just like the paradox around food, where it might seem like we have all of this scarcity because we have so much hunger around the world, the reality is that we have plenty of food to go around. The problem is that it's not accessible, right? So we have something kind of interesting happening with environmental impact too. On the one hand, we might say we need to stop industrializing, we need to pull back on a lot of the consumption that we have. We need to increase standards for things like emissions, which you can see, in this particular chart here. But we then have to realize that this is coming from the perspective of people who have already industrialized. We live in a society in which we've been able to purchase all kinds of things, for quite some time. And it feels a bit unfair to people who are in other countries when we come in and we say, you can't industrialize, but we got to, in decades past. So this is our paradox, where when we tell other countries that they have to decrease emissions, they have to decrease consumption, a lot of people say, well, why don't you look at yourself? All right, thanks so much, everyone. I'll see you all in this week's module.